Congressman Ridgel, great to have you with us, Scott.
Good to be back. It's a tough hour in our country here.
It really is, Congressman. I've got to get right to this immigration situation. Calls on my show are running 50-0. It's the hottest thing we have. People just can't understand why we cannot close the southern border of the United States. The average person out there on the street can't understand it.
John, the ratio that you just mentioned is pretty much what we're receiving in our office, and it reflects a deep, profound, and troubling disconnect between this administration and reality, and a disconnect between what his role is as our senior executive. I mean, we are a legislative body in Congress, 435 members of the House, of course, 100 senators. It is not designed to be, nor is it, the institution or the force that operates on a dime and pivots and addresses things real time. That's why our founding fathers wisely constructed the office of the president, the chief executive of the United States, so that he or she can move quickly and do what needs to be done to protect and defend our country, and to elevate the values that we hold, so dear, including the rights of all human beings, and including, I think, especially children. This is a horrific situation here. It's really, truly immoral what's taking place. This little trite term of coyotes, they're human traffickers is what they are. And they're subjecting, the estimate is about 1/3 of the girls are subject to sexual abuse on the way over. And I can tell you as a father and as a grandfather, this just grieves me. And then, what does it tell us about our country, our borders, if 12-year-olds, an estimated 90,000 this year and perhaps as many as 200,000 next year, John, can walk across the border? And, this whole thing about perhaps this is the president's Katrina hour, look, it's worse in my view. And his supplemental request is deeply flawed. I can walk you through that if you'd like, and steps that we need to take to turn this around.
Well, I do want you to go there because the difference between this and Katrina is Katrina was just an act of nature that no one could foresee or control from basically the skies. Many people think that what has been perpetrated on the United States right now was through the policies, the actions, and the rhetoric of this president. There's many people that believe that this president's goal with Valerie Jarrett was to change America, and by doing that, getting all these people in and then dispersing them out. I mean, why would he have Eric Holder hire 100 lawyers to defend children against future deportation?
To try to get into his motives and all that stuff, I usually stay away from that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you this, it is absolutely true that the root cause of the crisis is the administration. Let's look at this supplemental request, $3.7 billion. Included in that, one part of it is this, and I'm reading from the actual fact sheet that the administration gave out. Mm-hmm. It says that some of the funds are going to address the underlying roots causing and driving migration. Well, I'm convinced, I think the American people understand this, they get it, that we have incentivized, the president has incentivized this. He's basically said, if you can get here, you can stay here. In one form or another, John, and I really think they're hiding behind what is referred to as the Wilberforce Law. That was the law that was passed in 2008 by President Bush. But this is a ruse. This is an absolute ruse. I mean, Senator Feinstein, who helped write that law, has said, look, the administration's got the flexibility it needs right now. And what needs to take place, John, is for the administration to do what is the difficult thing to do, but the morally right thing to do by these children, these innocent children, and really for the security, the deportation, or the rather return of the children to their home origin, their country of origin, must take place. And I think, within 24 hours or 48 hours, if the president wanted to seek funding for that initiative, we'd work with him on that. If he wants to secure funding for increasing the physical barriers along our border, about 1/3 of our border has got a physical barrier. I really believe that they work. I've been a strong proponent of this since I sought this office more than 5 years ago. I really believe they work. And I also believe, John, that the wise use of the National Guard to protect our borders in this hour is the right thing to do. And I would think that the president ought to work with our governors of our border states. See, this is really what's needed to protect not only the children who are perhaps en route, but to prevent the incentive or remove the incentive that will cause many, many more, thousands more, to seek this. It's a difficult step, these things I just outlined, but it needs to be done.
Time is running out. How do we make it happen?
Well, we use every force that we can in the House of Representatives to do this. It is a bit frustrating as 145th of the House, but look, there is unanimity, I believe, at least on the general principles within the House Republicans, and I think an increasing number of Democrats. Representative Cuellar from Democrat has been very, very vocal on this and speaking very boldly, and I respect him for it, of being not just taking a cheap shot at the president, but just deconstructing the president's logic on this. John, it's a basic human principle. You and I, we all know this. All the listeners know this. What you incentivize, you get more of. What you disincentivize, you get less of.
Right.
That's just the way it works. And the president, through his actions and through his words, has increased the incentive to come here illegally. Traveled to Central America and one of essentially a dear member of our family. We somewhat adopted, if you will, from Nicaragua. We lived in our home for several years, and then we helped him get through Old Dominion University. I mean, this beautiful and full fabric of our country, I celebrate this. Mm-hmm. But I got him here. He came here through legal means, and frankly, it wasn't easy. It took a long time, a lot of effort, and some money. But we are a nation of laws, and we've got to understand that. And President Obama he lacks the wisdom to understand what needs to be done. And then if he does understand, I think he just lacks the political courage. Did you see the interview yesterday, or not the interview, but the rhetoric that he was using at that speech that he made just yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, he's really sharpened his tone, and part of this thing.
It is beneath the office of the president, John. It is a caricature of what an American president should be, and he's a caricature of what a leader is, and he's doing this country a terrible disservice. And it's going to be a rough 2.5 years. Your point about getting a Republican majority in the Senate, you're spot on. That's got to happen. That's the check and balance, at least to get through this.
I want to move on, but I just want to get back to what you said earlier, Congressman, about the words of the president, some of the most recent rhetoric in Texas beneath the office. Do you have an example of what he said that really got your goal?
How about I'm just going to let it rip. And it's both style and substance, John. It's the flippant nature of it. It is kind of real flippant about the whole thing. And here we are in this difficult hour. Some problems, if left alone, they say the same, that the problem does. Some problems, if left alone, things get better. In this case, we know it's going to be the third way. If left alone, this thing's going to get far worse. And the solution set that the president's put forth is deeply flawed, and it doesn't have my support. And is he instead being at the border and really seeing what's going on down there? No. He's playing pool and coming to a podium and just being very flippant about it. I think he's really losing the type of tone he needs to convey a clear and compelling vision for this country. He needs to unite us as fellow Americans, and he has just embraced the cheapest partisan rhetoric, and it troubles me. He's looking more like a community organizer, which is his background, than the type of leader that needs to rise up in a difficult hour in our country.
No question.
As I said, it's going to be a long 2.5 years.
Congressman, I got a question in here texted me from Dean Longo. Says, Can you ask Scott what the president is doing to engage the president of Mexico to address the issue?
I'm sure that they've made some contact there, but clearly not enough. I think that we need to reexamine and reset, if you will, our relationship and partnership with Mexico. Clearly, in my view, they're not doing enough on their end to stop this. Unfortunately, that's why I think we need to leverage the resources that we have with the National Guard. He's not doing enough there, and we are right on the cusp, I think. I don't know for sure, but I think we're right on the cusp of getting this resolution to the floor. It would be an important legal marker to say that, no, the president can't use that action, or future presidents can't use that action as legal precedent to again, circumvent the law. There's so many moving targets here with this administration that it's really difficult for Congress to pivot as quickly as it needs to address them all.
Now, with your resolution, Congressman Ridgely, you've got 70 co-sponsors. Do you have the full backing of the House Armed Services Committee on that?
Absolutely. This is what was so significant. House Armed Services has jurisdiction when those senior Taliban commanders were released. Chairman McKeon got us all together, the Republican members. He said, look, we've got jurisdiction. We're going to do a full investigation. And I thought, well, that's good. That's a good start. We need to do that. And I appreciate the chairman doing that. But I was thinking, that's just not enough. We've got to have a legal marker, John, in the congressional record, the repudiation, the condemnation, the express disapproval of the House of Representatives on what the president did. When in the hearing where I looked right at Secretary Hagel, and I said, the facts don't comport here. You're not even making the attempt to adhere to either the letter or the spirit of the law that requires them to engage Congress well before releasing these senior Taliban members from Guantanamo. And he really didn't have a good answer. He's, I respect his service to our country, obviously, but they missed it on this in a deep and profound way, and we're going to hold him accountable for it.
So what was Hagel's answer?
He couldn't. He truly couldn't. And folks can see this, I believe, on our own website, ridgel.house.gov, where I looked right at him, and he couldn't give an answer